I'm focused. I've been watching for the omens. I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded. I got the feeling that you know it. Yeah, I've only just begun. I won't stop until it's done, till you're broken. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. Bigger they are, harder they fall.
We return to the dark, the shadow chamber of the depths of the Fojar tunnels, an alien race who promised you safety, an oath made with Oscar. And yet they offered you bare minimum to support while stealing Cecilia away with the Fixer's aid, while Oscar had left to find his sister Erica nearly a day before. Following the death of Oscar's siblings, all but this one that had gone missing, the group found threats crossing continents to come and try and reclaim the land. Claim it, not reclaim it. Being transported after by Mitso to the Fojar hive, the Fojar Royal Guards found them and then transported them deeper into the tunnels, brought into a dark corridor opening to reveal a small arena and series of exit chambers where a single half-petrified angel statue with glowing vestments around its head, a halo behind its head, and wings slowly cracking out of their petrified case. The group entered the chamber, and its voice connected with Oscar as he started moving forward, staring into the void black eyes of the celestial form. When we return, a challenge had been set, and like as bright as fire, blades of light started to emerge out of the ground, 10 feet up, glowing white. Oscar suddenly feel as this light surrounds you, your space around you becomes brightly illuminated. The darkness of this thing's eyes seem to hold you in place. Your head doesn't want to move, even though you are trying to. And there's something akin in blood you have to this thing, and you feel it deep within you. You hear in front of you. It sounds like it's coming from the unmoving face of the angel, which almost seems to be not wielding your sister's face, but a almost mask-like version of it, a still frame, almost like a molded, petrified mask. None of the other group can hear this, except somehow Jonathan.
Hello?
You also directionally hear the voice, but as you are looking at the group, you are clearly aware that they have no idea what is happening in this relation, and your mind somehow, even though the wall of light that this thing has created to block you from Oscar is bright enough to stop you from seeing the angel, somehow you're hearing it, audibly receiving what Oscar hears and Oscar sees. You hear, "Whoever wrote the Book of Desire gave me something I had yet to understand. As the only demigod associated with the welcoming of the less than desirable races into the afterlife, the book, when I corrupted, it helped remind me that the ideas and goals of the spirits who had just escaped their shells are still bound to the deepest emotions of the material form. I often work as a deal maker to help unfinished business finish so that grace can be given. At least I did. It was not the easy job. I did not ask for a low-ranking post. I am and often do struggle with remembering all the feelings and emotions of the creatures I have experienced. I experience it so quickly, and so the service I did was so that one dawn I could sit by her side in the kingdom she entrusted us to create. Persephone, Farina, Nanut, the Shadow Queen, those names from the ones who believed in her formed her, sculpted the image, material, more than I ever thought possible. I found love in something invisible, yet when she took her first steps in the material and the parade of followers and creations bowed at her feet, it felt like she never left. A hole in our hearts we did not know was always full. Until the temple in her realm was sundered by a rift in the ground that swallowed it whole. We watched it collapse in red light, and we watched our queen be sunk below with it.
Oscar, for Jonathan, apologies, this is the first time we're hearing any context about what happened to your god.
At first we were ready to wage war against her sister, the bargains we thought she had made in order to gain greater control. We had no idea her last burden would be to find new homes, a rush order, and a hole inside us that opened, the source of our affections taking advantage. And the shadow fell, our home sucked into the blood tear, transformed or replaced with red skies and oceans of blood. We lost our home, our true place of rest, so we found shelter in a plane out of phase. It is the place of ghosts and monsters. It is right next to you, and you don't see it. A place we could not grow in, but only watch. Watch the mistakes.
From what she described, you see most of those pictures. A dark realm, a temple that's very pyramid but Aztec, very tall bricks and squared frame. You saw some sort of shadow taking its first steps, feet made of bone materializing out of just shadow, and only the feet, and then you started to see the pelvis also made of bone, and it kept walking, and then suddenly you start to see kind of like a fleshy upper half, but still bone pelvis, and then as it continues to walk, then you kind of had that vision cut away from you. Literally in your dark vision, looking at this thing's eyes, being forced to see what it wants you to see. You watched in another realm a god awoken, and then cutting a vision of red rifts illuminating from the ground, the black, almost graveyard of infinite size and scale. Watching almost that look like material creatures, but still very dark and shadowed, fall into those fissures, illuminated by the red light as they fall away, disappearing. And quickly in your vision, those red fissures would grow so big that it would split the center of the temple and then most of that would all just collapse inwards. You don't see the vision, but you just process what you hear. And then this feeling in Oscar suddenly of blackness, shadowed shapes, nearly nothing, almost nothing, yet some ghostly shadows in the nothing, an isolated feeling, and your mind doesn't register how much time you're in there for, but the scale of it feels like it feels like you've only glimpsed it for mere moments, seconds even, but at the same time you come out of it feeling like you were in a dream in that place that lasted hours or days. Suddenly you feel your feet for the first time in what feels like a minute as this conversation was forced into your mind. This almost preach. History. Lore you've never heard, spoken directly. You take your first steps forward. The angels form the mask that has some small resemblance to your sister's face and appearance is still strong, but now all of its wings have started to completely shed the stones. The wings stretched out wide in a kind of predatory bird sort of position.
What does this have to do with me and my sister? These sound like things you should be showing John, not me.
You see stone crack as its final, not fully petrified arm breaks out, and shedding at the same time, you see a sheer golden scythe, as long as this creature's 6-foot body, glowing brightly, and it lowers kind of in a wide arc, and it lowers the weapon down in front of you. It starts to speak, and in that moment, you feel this wave of divine energy wash over you. There's like this physical exhaustion you felt. Now that sway, that kind of slight fatigue you have is slightly improved. This angel has class 8.
Okay.
So you get...
That is
400 temporary hit points.
Holy shit.
I think it's actually fair to take minutes.
Five.
Yeah, so you get +1 moral bonus to attack rolls and saves against fear,
That's pretty good.
and you get 12. I rolled a 2 on the D8. 12 to you hear as that wave of energy is spoken to you. Your bonds are loosened but not yet broken. You all hear this now. You, as Oscar, have been unable to tell if this thing is, even now when it actually speaks, you're unsure if it's speaking just in your head or not. Your bonds are loosened but not yet broken, until your oath to the 9 is spoken. My burden weighs heavy, a celestial decree. Yet thy void whispers freedom is not free. Dark callings echo through the night. Their voices veil the ethereal light. Your oath, once given, eternally binds in the endless battle between hearts and minds. Know this, as the weapon moves back to the kind of rest by her side. Weary traveler of cosmos vast, every promise made in the shadow cast. Speak your vows to the nebulous last spark, and bear the burden of a new dark.
So you want me to chant my oath?
You feel a kind of cold sensation wash over you as you think about it, as you think about your oath.
What do you mean by a new dark?
It stands there, looking with its head kind of tilted slightly down.
There is too much at stake for you not to be picking a side.
I had already chosen a side at birth. That side was chosen for me. My side is with my family and always will be. So will you release my sister or not?
I see the killer in you like the rest of them. She is the only one who stayed pure. She was the one who we expected to remain.
And yet you gave her nothing. The gods gave her nothing but visions of damnation, torture, day and day.
Yes, and she for that welcomed me, more than I could have suspected, like she was ready to move on. She is not aware that she's not fully gone or fully here. She is like where we have been, alone in the dark. Like no. If you die, if she dies, another will bring, another will come, and there will not be a need for the broken family you have tried to build here. And you hear, and this is a sensation in your mind that you have to shut out, like a feeling that you're being watched, not even by this thing, but by something else. Ask yourself, what will killing the dark version of yourself do when all killing creates is emptiness? You longed for an equal, and now one stands, creates from you, created from you, and made to do your job, but more efficiently. Will you let him tear apart the last threads of the city? Or will you follow a mad Aridi into a domain created by the Lord of Pain, a former high-ranking angel?
So that's what this is about. You want me to go into the book?
Anyone such as us is mad for entering that book. Divine blood is corrupted, and you have entered and come out with less. This test will decide if my burden will be.
And what would that burden be?
To be no longer you.
And you see finally the last of her stone form shreds. Little large chunks of stone falling from the mantle of her shoulders, radiating light. And she takes one step out of the kind of dark pit that she has being sunken in. She's 15 feet away from you, and her weapon, 5 feet long, can easily reach your proximity.
While this conversation has been happening, Jonathan has been bowing for most of the time.
Fair enough.
But the moment she started talking about the book and the translation of that, Jonathan stands up, cuts his wrist
Interesting.
as blood starts to fall into the ground, as he starts pacing in a circle.
Pacing in a circle, okay.
He'll be doing this for a bit, because he's going to be listening to the trial while I was walking around, pacing and fingering.
Okay. Is the blood like coagulating into a specific shape on the ground, or is
It
it
is.
just a ring? At first it's a ring.
It is at first a ring.
Ring. You see its weapon start to pulse suddenly bright. It was already kind of faintly glowing in its kind of bright golden material, and you've picked up a piece of this same golden, faintly glowing material before, and you recalled the celestial gold. This weapon made clearly of the exact same thing, something that would harbor wealth that you couldn't imagine. It's not a priced artifact. This celestial gold, it doesn't have a price to it in this world. You also are noticing that, I mean, unlike most of the features that are kind of generally Cecilia's, there's this like small golden circle on her head that also looks kind of like celestial gold, but it is glowing brightly with like a white luminescent light around its head, not including the sigil or the hot halo that is vertical and behind the head of this creature, this pure golden light. You see as it took that step forward and you wait.
How many times did thee think touching such darkness would go without consequence? You mishandled evil, and now you must pay its price.
The god's servants drove us to evil. We touched with the intention of helping you, helping your gods, and we did so. Blame us all you want, but do not blame your own choices.
You
We speak of consequence. Where is the consequence of your own actions, your god's own actions? You are using us as pawns. We have lives, you've said this. We have thoughts, you know this. We will not stand bowing anymore. We are watching. My sister is in there and she can see that. She will come back to me, and I will make it so.
You hear and it's just like cut.
You arrogantly trust the Sephra, the ones made by the Dark Prince of Pain. His, like mine, decisions to make creations, to trust our servants, was arrogant and foolish. I realized that before he did, before he made binding vows with the gods. And then the gods made sure that he would never leave the prison for the mistakes he made. But his puppets, the faceless Sphinx, the wisest Sphinx, both of them still held the same instructions. For you to follow their orders is to follow the misstepped path, not directly led by divinity. Gods could not have stopped you or found wrong in their choices. There are too many lines of gray in the creations we make. In your arrogance, in your actions that caused such pain, killing families, brought upon an aspect of the firstborn mortal god of misery inside you. It seeded itself in your deeds of corruption. Now he is able to weave his own web into the ruins of this city and this continent because your connection to divinity was brought into the cursed, desecrated land. Harboring an angelic form hides his soul from the gods while he works in the shadows. And now the light, just like the Sephira he created. It was all a mistake. We, their servitors, did our best. But even centuries later, there were threads and plots that they formed without our knowing. We are all ignorant of some things. I struggle with the emotions. But we are careful in what we plan and the actions that we take for the sake of others.
And who you get rid of. And who you use. And who you sacrifice. I'm sure you are careful.
Sacrifices have never been the intention since the god of pain last made sacrifice to the churches and temples who united the Nine. But that was millennia.
So what's it going to be?
A choice I cannot make for you, but one I can push you to understand. As you see it kind of curve back inside. I must make sure that we do not further upset the ones that made us. Just know that your punishment, thus made from arrogance, will not end you. We are made for lessons. And you see, for a flash of a second, this like 6 or 7 black and like tinted red insectoid limbs emerging from the back of this angel before flash, they're kind of gone. And in that moment you're seeing more things emerging from the periphery. It almost distracts you as the sight comes down, that glowing light. I want you to roll the initiative and let's get this thing going. We'll absolutely make the first strike.
It's a 23.
It will try to make the first strike, but you absolutely do this one.
Okay. In the middle of its attack, Oscar is going to do a swift action to expose weakness. So I'm going to make an attack. If it hits, it does no damage, but it leaves you flat-footed for 1 round. And that is a lot.
You have to beat a 25 to hit, assuming you are not considered evil.
Definitely beats a 25. That's a 37. So you see, as soon as he raises his scythe, Oscar unsheaths territorial, busts it in the jaw, and then we'll go for a 4-round action and make 4 unarmed strike.
Slay it.
So the first one, these are all plus 18 to hit.
Okay, you're 25 to hit.
First one misses. Second one hits. Third one just hits. The last one misses. So 2 hits, 1 miss, make a 4th save. The last one misses. So 2 hits, 1 miss, make a 4th save.
Nat 1.
Okay, he's stunned.
And the 4th save is plus 16. So it is stunned. tapping into where these muscle movements, still of a human body, are able to be abused.
Seeing that my fists aren't doing anything, Oscar
Lightning
is
covers his body, seems to just kind of disperse around.
on my next turn, because it's stunned, swift action, claim, movement action, evoke. You take 8 untyped damage, and I heal. Pretty good, actually. I'm going to use Steel Shattering Fists, which allows me to make a weapon attack and unarmed attack. Both ignore DR and harness. And these are both going to be power attacks. One with Cerethrial, one with an unarmed. Cerethrial is a nat 20, let's see if it hits. Just barely hits. Fuck. Okay.
Nice. Remember your mold bonus, the +1.
That's why it hits.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's why the crit confirms, sorry. And then unarmed hits. That's 52 damage from Cerethrial. Is this considered evil?
Is there?
You said 52 damage.
52 damage, are they considered evil?
Yes, sir.
61 damage from that one attack from Cerethrial, bypasses all DR.
Oh, yeah.
And
And then this time.
unarmed strike, and make another fort save.
Okay. This is for the next round.
Yep,
I rolled 4 plus 16, 20.
passes. How much is this? 7. 25 damage on that next one.
Loki and Jonathan, do you want me to roll initiative and just I can add you to the initiative count if you want to do anything?
Sure. Looks like they're counting on a jewel, right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm looking at you for that.
28.
I got a 9.
I'll roll it.
No,
anyway.
that. What do you? I'm not.
Yes, man.
Okay. The guards also got 9.
I got a
They got
25.
that one on the initiative. And you got 25?
Yeah.
I'll give you the initiative just in case. Yeah. Ray at first looked like he was ready to fight, and then that wall of light went up, and he just kept the sword away, and
Core 3 would interfere with a jewel.
he's actually standing up on the highest precipice because he's so short that he's just seeing light energy, and he just can't see. This angel in frozen motion suddenly kind of cracks out of that after the last 2 hits, and you can see areas where you at first think it's human blood because it's red in the wound, and by the time it starts to draw out, it's just these streams of white energy that just pour out of the body as Cerethrial has penetrated it. And in that frozen moment, it brings it down in such a speed and motion. You are kind of almost caught off guard by the fact that it was really slowing itself down at the beginning to kind of emphasize that it was ready to fight. You see the insane speed. Yeah, that's 42 to hit.
Yep.
D8. Plus 14, that's 19 points of damage. And then 21 hard, you take 10 points of radiant damage.
Okay, so positive energy.
Positive damage. Water flashes around you. You immediately realize this is that single attack was probably a lethal, undead or fiend killing weapon. At this point, physically, pretty hard to tell. It's obviously fully unveiled itself, but there are thick streams of bright light fluid emerging from the wounds that Cerethrial has made. It's not showing signs of fatigue, but at the same time, you're sure that stabbing this thing is working to some extent.
Okay.
And Moki, you don't want to do anything?
I'm watching.
Still watching, just keeping a good view. You're standing kind of close to Jonathan.
I wish I had my father. Actually, I'm going to hold Great Bath.
Sick.
Yeah. Chris, get off me.
The Jew interfere the last time.
Sounds like I really did want to help my friend, but I see this is now a divine challenge. Interfering with that
Family matters.
well, kind of family cousin issues, he says as now Oscar is your turn.
Okay. I would use a full round action, 2 attacks with territorial as a swift action. I'll make 1 more attempt. So 19 damage. Oh wait, and your evil, so an extra 7, so
That's
26.
reduced by 10.
Yep, so 16.
10, love it.
Next attack. The exact same.
Right. So 20 damage.
16.
Oh, sorry, that's 16. 30, 32. And both swings for ownership, yeah. So, now that you're fiercely stabbing into this body, you're noticing from the eye sockets of this almost like half porcelain, half human face, streams of bright white fluid are emerging from both eyes. The chest has been punctured and pulverized, leaking fluid. This thing looks like a kind of weeping angel if they could actually cry.
On the start of his turn, he takes another 7 untyped.
7 untyped. Nearly 40 damage this round, half of what you did with your crit round.
Yep.
Okay.
This guy does big damage.
That is 145 damage in 3 rounds.
Yep.
This is why. How much damage have you taken?
You did like 30 damage and I had 1 hit.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. You watch this thing change. Suddenly, the weapon has switched hands like you didn't see in a blur of motion. This thing had clearly, with its own impressive speed, suddenly, the creature, you see it like switch weapons in the hand, and you are now noticing that golden weapon. Suddenly, it from the top down just fades. Light still emanating from the circle, and you hear whispering in your periphery, somewhere in front of you.
Your burdens to be forgotten, as I.
This leads to your turn. With an invisible creature, that's just a 50 miss. You know it's in some close proximity, but you don't know.
Cerithrial will pump me with a cure moderate wounds.
Nice. Energy. Purple crystal. Siphoning. Grinding.
So 2d8 plus 10.
Big.
Actually really good. So I heal 10 plus 10, 20, and then I heal an extra 4, and then
8.
And then an extra 8, so 32, and then I times that by 1.5.
30.
So
19.
Okay, so 51.
153 damage.
I'm going to use a shatter spell on him. So first need to make sure I hit.
And this is a spell which it has this.
This is not considered a spell. This is a supernatural ability.
So this is the one gives dispel magic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's a natural 20, so roll your... Oh, actually, do I roll or do you roll? Either way, I know if it's under 50, it hits.
Oh yeah.
So, do you want me to roll?
You roll under 50.
Hits.
Nice.
Alright, crit confirm. Hits. What is the creature's... Is this a spell, the invisibility?
Yes, it is.
Oh, so I could have gotten an attack of opportunity against him. Succeed. No longer invisible. Well, this is... No, this happens after it hits.
Oh, okay.
So the 50-50 full short matters.
That makes sense. The shattering of the concussive blast of light energy followed by the concussive sound of thunderous, echoing, colliding, cracking.
Oh, Dave, this is a big one.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Like in the high 50s?
Higher.
So to be like 150 to be brave, Ragos.
Right, so only actually done.
Okay, that's 69 damage.
In this pod, 150.
So Oscar used to do more damage.
Yeah.
Shit, Oscar used to do like twice this much damage. That's crazy. Granted, I've been lucky. I have rolled 3 nat ones, but I've also rolled 2 nat 20.
You look at this angel and realize the entire front. Now, it's gotta be a shell, because you can physically see dozens of fissure marks that are all kind of covering the front of its face area. That golden circlet still kind of pulsing brightly.
And I'll say, this whole time, while Oscar's been, like, each attack, he's also, under his breath, invoking a line from his chant of the Nine.
Sick. You crack, swoop, hit this thing, forcing it to kind of be dispelled. You watch it kind of skip back a foot. Then forcing itself, you see it kind of half begins to glide, floating, barely off the ground.
Okay.
You see divine energy just kind of filter through, and even though this thing was shattered, you watch all of these little fissures across its face just seal.
So I get an attack of opportunity.
You absolutely do it. DC 15 plus double.
You're injured while casting, so 10 plus damage dealt plus spell level. So what's the spell level?
This is a 6th level spell.
Okay, so DC
40.
26. Fort save.
So I am to roll a 9 or higher. 12.
Okay, succeed.
You feel the light like exploding from the front of it as you strike it in that moment where it's still so fragile. You think this thing's literally just going to explode with light, and then those fissure cracks and light from the outside just like heart reconstitute. You see white fluids leaking all over this thing's body. Golden, almost glowing fissures of light pouring. It's celestial fluid.
Wait, it can attack again?
Look,
Oh, okay.
that's exactly alright. Oscar. This is very, very, and it's loud. It's like you're in an echo chamber and you're getting smashed with gunshot sounds. It's just ear ringing.
I'm going to, I was going to use a dog power as a standard action, move action, and take another 8 damage.
Okay.
27 ahead. 37 damage.
Take 10.
Yep.
7 big boys. Alright.
And on its turn, it takes another 5. Untyped.
What we're going to say is then try and pull some strategic maneuvers you are able and consistently outplaying this thing in terms of the small tricks it gets it can pull. You watch
this thing kind of has in its form and its presence built up to a kind of ominous pose. And okay, that actually might miss you. Does a 23 hit possible? Okay. So suddenly you realize that in front of you, Territorial has got a golden scythe blade just grounded into it, and it takes you a moment to realize that you're winded because there's a gash that goes through pieces of your armor across your chest, and you just didn't see the attack happen, and you can feel small amounts of epicums sort of trail down the inside of your garment.
Ooh, does damage will hurt this.
Actually, if it lands 2 attacks, you'd be bleeding. But,
Yeah, okay.
Well, I rolled max on the damage die, so that's 22? Yes, 22 points damage.
At the end of its turn, its claim ends. So Oscar will swift action reclaim it.
Tying back to it as you felt the energy siphon complete.
Which lets me recover my
But is that immediately cause damage to this thing?
No. The recover is still Shattering Fists and Shadow Spell. Which move action take another 8 damage. And I will use
Here, as you are starting to do a little bit, this thing coming to you here in your mind, and definitely in your mind.
I see sacrifices of our blood. See trails of betrayals and your family's final stand.
I'll go 2 attacks, both bypassing damage and harmless. First hits, second just
Just about 1 HP over half HP.
Okay.
With recovering 130 points.
That's 37 damage on that one, and that bypasses damage reduction.
37, alright.
Alright, Unarmed Strike. 21.
21 also bypass?
Yes.
This is really right?
1 Cerithral, and then 1 going for a roundhouse kick.
You shatter a chunk
And
of...
fort save.
You shatter a chunk of what is actually like somehow crusted stone, which as it hits the ground dusts, and you can see the corner, a bleeding lip, like a bruised lip of your sister underneath what is like a 1-inch thick skin or like mud layer over her face. Fort save, 26.
Okay, succeeds.
Okay, Aim's turn. You feel that kind of weightlessness for a second before suddenly feeling your chest bruise.
Oh, it takes another.
Oh yeah. You already did your swift action stand. Your move action.
Yeah, this is just at the start of its turn. It takes 7.
Oh, okay.
I'm rolling really good on my poison. It's not actually a poison, but that's what it is.
I mean, the lowest I got to hit, which was my first one, was at 31.
You're underhanded when you
31 and then 20. 30.
Okay. 25 just hits.
Oh my god! Okay, big damage here. That's 17 for the first one, and 17, and then 19. So 36. Yeah, 36. And then I need you to make a DC 25 fortitude save. Or something. Fail. That's 4 points of extra bleed damage at the start of your turn, which is you feel that bruising on
33.
33.
51 total.
Oh, so you healed all the way back. Or is this temporary? This is
Everything that goes above my max turns into temporary.
And I guess, well, it is the summon turn, so you took that 4 bleed damage, but then no more bleed.
Yeah.
No update. Are you doing a move action? So that was Territorial's turn, so you've got yours. Did you send it?
Yeah, let's go move action another 8 damage. And then I'll just go for... I'll go for Huntsman's Curse. That's my standard action. That hits. So I need you to make a will save DC 20. No, that was another slash down.
You watch as the entirety of this thing's chest, with all of your previous gashes, but this big one, you see a massive split, a massive amount of light that's kind of spewing out, like you're opening its body, and its body is a gateway to the sun, basically, in terms of how almost like eye-rending, how bright staring at that light in its chest is. As you carve through, your light reflects, you get a good vision of all of the fissures of this thing's body, and for the first time, even though it's actually too hard to look at this creature right now, just emanating so much light, that small chunk of its face that you could see before, now that has been fully illuminated by the light that's kind of present in it. Like, you're judging the battle last time when it used that healing magic, just how you've done it. It reconstituted itself. It feels like you've put it at the exact same point it was at right before it with that healing magic.
Ford commercial.
Can we pause this battle for Jake? Do it.
You like the smell of sand in your pants, the smell of pine trees burning in a wood box. That's how it feels to drive a Ford F-150.
This is the worst smell. I want to follow look at that voice.
I just want to fuck Jake right now. That's what
I don't want to.
It wasn't already deep when he said it's super deep.
Oh, was that 25 half? Did I take the...
No, but reduce 10 for me.
Reduce 10, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, also you're taking that. Oh, 5.
Oh, perfect. So 25 reduced. I was put 20.
Yeah.
You believe you have won this fight yourself.
I can keep going. Give me my sister back and we can stop this.
I saw you reach the brink of death, and I saw you draw your final breath. The strength you hold should not be so.
And you see the bigger parts cracking. You hear in your sister's own voice,
I won't let its divine power bring an end to you and your company.
and then you hear it in its voice,
But you will lose your sister.
Not that I have anything to say for it.
what's Jonathan doing?
As Jonathan turns around, runs the circle, as he goes, I summon the great angel of death, Archak! Come. As basically, immediately while it says that, the angel inside of her immediately gets pulled out and thrown into the magic circle that he just created.
Okay. You see, I'm not going to say it's teleported. You watch as it is.
Gates done it?
Nope. Actually, it would get a round of attacks off before Jonathan could do that. But,
Exactly.
but those attacks in combat seem invisible, to especially to Jonathan. So you watch Oscar as suddenly you feel once again wounded. They both definitely hit. You 14 doubled. 425 forward save for me.
Oh, jeez, I'm on garbage. No.
48 points of damage, and then 2 points of bleed.
So 50 total.
So 50 total. And then the wound in your chest, like, multiplied as it's been healed and bruised and healed and bruised. And then suddenly it flies over your shoulder, just this, like, almost swirling spiral of shadow. And then pulled through the barrier of light behind you, and you've lost sight of it.
Okay.
In the circle, its true form would be revealed.
Your sister is just like vanished in front of you, even though she was half emerging.
Sorry, it would just be its true form. Or whatever form it wants to appear as.
Okay.
Oh my god. You did it with my son.
Alright.
That's okay.
The sister's body's gone?
Yeah, it just
Because it doesn't take the body, it only
You
takes
watch
the
as
creature.
No one is a fan.
well, unfortunately, like once possessed by it. So you watch as there is a kind of collision at the point where this creature enters the circle. You see like a shedding of skin, 2 different layers. There's parts of the stone carapace around a girl that she is flung through the circle and emerges out the other side. This thing emerges through her.
Yeah,
You see not red, but green insectoid limbs, and you see a kind of spiraling red energy with thousands and thousands of little tiny red pupilless eyes just swirling in the mass of energy. It's vaguely humanoid sized, but its body is completely hunched insectoid. It's a dark kind of green, almost moss color.
That will light be gone.
It's still there.
In the circle, it cannot harm anyone, but we cannot harm it.
Oscar will start to
So
walk
it's a two-way
towards it.
thing.
You see Oscar is like at the edge of the wall of light. For everyone else can see his shadowed silhouette through the light wall. Oscar can see. Actually, make a perception check for me. This is DC 25 to see.
I was going to say I'm going to try and use a shadow spell on them.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Do it. Penetrate the inside of this.
26%.
26%. You see the kind of slunk body on the ground, and then you can see there's like you can see the hunched form of something else, and you can see a kind of still motionless form, long hair that's kind of stretched out in that kind of webbed sort of way. Very loose details, but you're sure that that body is. You know, you didn't bring Sophia with you. There's no other females on the
John, what happened?
You can hear Oscar's voice, but there is this like little faint light sound separating you two.
I know of the curse that we have that plays with divinity magic. This trick is a trick that I learned from demon cultists. It allows you to summon any outsider being and place it into a magic circle. We have the ability to ask one question. It may lie or give us a quest for the answer. However, since I am the summoner, it is limited to follow what I am willing to do. It is not allowed to go against my alignment or goals for that information. If not, it will go home. It cannot return to this plane unless manifested through someone else.
Which means it will leave with my sister.
Yes. Please go look to your sister.
I'm slightly blocked by a wall here.
It's still manifested.
Yes. Give me a bit of time, I should be able to break through it, but it's going to take me maybe a minute.
Don't ask the angel a question.
It will stay here for a bit. I have to keep the summoning going. I have to stay here with it until we ask the question.
Okay.
It was also a stalling tactic that I was planning for the Demon King when he came for us. It is a once a month per entity.
Wall of light lasts for 13 minutes.
Okay.
2 more rounds, and Oscar is able to break through the wall.
Okay, then there we go. If you want to wait 2 rounds, it's 12 seconds.
Yeah.
You're seeing
Oscar is just like cracking away at it with his sword.
By the way, Ray totally tried to decapitate the angels and don't do anything, right?
The sword can't enter the sigil area.
Yeah.
And flashes of bright red energy kind of force his sword to kind of parry it away. Parry away from the wall of energy, and you finally hear after Ray has done thrusts at it, and you see Imran is starting to kind of have a bit of a panic attack. Heron is not amused, is solemn, and as Oscar walks over, Heron is coddling the head of your unconscious sister with black hair, and what looks still like a bright golden glowing circlet around her head, which she did not have before talking with you.
She's still possessed, I think.
I don't know Heron's eyes glowing with the type of magical energy. You know he's able to sense magical signatures.
That's a strong abjuration.
And then you hear the Fojaxin say, "We knew she was at the verge of being aligned with higher dimensional energy." The Fojax Queen gives kind of a moment to see this creature. Its eyes its head slightly looking down at the group of you and looking back at the creature you've got inside the sigil. "We suspected that this was the celestial being tasked with preserving us. When we found a connection with her, divine power does not normally reside in the Western land, and thus it chose its closest connection to the strongest source of energy. This angel spirit is most certainly corrupted, evil, but I have a feeling that was of its own accord, and not of external pressure. It chose its own darker path.
John, is that right?
And your sister, the Iridi female," she answers loosely, vaguely, doesn't even register that, one of you are siblings, that there's probably 2 Iridi in this chamber minus her. "We spared her the suffering and gave her the circlet of divine channeling for the radiant gold energy.
She's still alive.
The circlet suppresses the abundance of divine connection which draws celestial beings to her. This means we have made her an anchor so she can be her. Now that there is nothing possessing her, divine spirits search for divine hosts. It looks like you who swore an oath with me before have had one such possess you as well. Many of these divine spirits are not of a good, aligned nature. We are not of a good, aligned nature. But our morals in connection to the divine are very different. We do not seek to harm. We seek to teach. And we know that preservation is the best way for allies to be gained. Thus, we attempted to help your family, companion, Iridi. Do not think that we have lost trust in you, despite our strange and calculated methods.
Oscar will place his hand on the barrier. What does it feel like?
After sufficient feeling of having the kind of cracks and fissures, you're noticing that not the entire wall of light is faded, but the kind of front 10 feet around you is almost, it looks like it's glitching in and out of being corporeal. And Not that you even need a moment. You feel as your hand tries to touch it, there at first was a searing pain, which you knew if you actually touched it would shoot up your arm instead of just kind of like a pain on the fingertips. Now as you put your hand forward, it's like flash fraction of pain, nothing. And realizing that that's enough for you to move through without something.
I'll try and walk through.
You walk through, feeling your body for a second, feel like you've got a gunshot ricocheting into your body, but you step through it, and there's no real pain, or the pain faded as quickly as it was sparked in you. And then you look behind, and that wall of energy seems to just be kind of slowly kind of dematerializing, kind of it turning into an ethereal energy again. You walk, and you are now 10 feet away from Heron and your sister, unconscious. And then 5 feet further away from the wall of red energy holding back this celestial dark being. Jonathan, what are you doing?
I'm afraid so, Monkey. It seems even from the highest of the church's following, do even our greater ones fell for the corruption.
If you would ask your question, that banished this creature, would this angel go back into her?
The creature can speak as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say whatever you should.
I'm just letting David know that.
Yeah.
If it wants to chat. However,
it's clicking in a kind of primordial-esque tongue.
the only rule
No,
is
speak insect.
it answers one question. That's the only rule it has to do.
Go to speak insect.
Full of spell. It
So
can lie.
one question.
Is one
it
question?
can lie, yeah.
It can lie. It can give a quest. However, the quest has to follow my alignment. The summon's alignment. So I can't. So if it sounds like kill this wholesome legend, no, I can't do that.
It doesn't have to be asked by you.
It has to be asked by me.
Yeah, cool.
You guys can talk to it, and it can choose if it wants to answer. But
At this point, you're almost looking at it like, and even though you're all surrounding it, it's like suddenly a kind of arrogant man is stripped of all clothing and is visibly looking just by kind of curled posture, all of its limbs kind of curled inwards. It looks like it's almost a humiliated in terms of posture. It looks like it's kind of withdrawn, but its faint kind of clicking and guttural. Oscar can understand it quietly as it's like saying in a kind of ancient primordial tongue, and you're getting most of the word that is, it's burden, it's burden, and it's this like repetitive clicking sound, which does eventually form Barazak, but
Jacob. Is everything you spoke true?
See its kind of large, almost mantis-like head kind of turn around to face you with one of its side eyes, which you realize on the side of its head, like a fly, actually has one big eye, which has dozens of small red, almost irises in it. Dozens of the ability to lie in primordial broken, so you understand this. Was not something we learned how to manipulate. But the corruption of the fallen Iridium, the corrupted Iridium, the corrupted Iridium is not fully fallen yet. His alignment has not
fallen below yours.
You mean the other me? What do you mean, the ancient one, Marcus?
The ancient. Your second form is hidden and invisible to us.
Alright. If you had won that fight, what would you have done?
The vow I said before the battle started. Stripped you of your divine heritage. You would have been nothing but human. Weak but able to enter the Book of the Damned without harm.
Right.
That's what you wanted.
I don't want to enter the book.
You wanted to not be. When you touched evil.
I did that to help inspire us.
To help you find and reveal your true potential. Which she told you she could give. And she lied. And in a form, she could only unlock the knowledge that you would benefit with. Its secrets, that book, should never have been held by a celestial born.
You're right. But I'm not running from this. Not from my heritage. My whole life, I've tried to convince myself that I wasn't once human. That I was born Iridi. Even when I was not. I'm not saying I want to go back to being human. But I'm proud of that heritage, because it allowed me to become Iridi. And that's not something I want to give up. So I apologize. My own mortality became my ignorance. I apologize if I served creatures I thought were greater than I. If I served creatures I thought worshipped those that I worshipped. But I would not change my choice.
Your oath is your burden. It is, and has been always to be lost. Now as a new, you must find a new path, Oscar.
Do you have any recommendations?
Finding a new home.
Away from Isora or away from Kings Bay?
The suffering is far less to the west, east.
Which one's that one?
That's the sword. East and land. West is where you are. The.
So you think I should return to Isora?
But that is only if you wish to help the least.
Whereas here I help the most, but I suffer the most.
The cursed lands take from what you desire. Good men create war here, whereas safety to the east promises nothing but idleness and rest.
And what is your standing in all this? What is your... outside of me, what is your intent? What do you do?
I am made to be an enforcer of divine justice. My responsibility is to target all mortals who hope to usurp the power of a deity and achieve divinity. And I was drawn to you. But when I battled you, I realized in my first attack that you were not the one who seek to usurp a god. It was the thing that broke apart from you. The thing that wants the Book of the Damned more than you. Wants to find the key within it. Wants to use all the evil this continent can give.
And you want to stop that?
I can only enforce judgment upon the marks of those who have already committed the tragedies.
So you have to wait for them to commit evil before you enforce it.
For it cannot be seen and found without it.
Then why don't you help us defeat the other me, stop him from claiming the book, trying to become divinity?
It is an unknowable reality to imagine something that we cannot properly see to be in possession of a strength to transform divinity.
And you know how we mortals feel every day.
I and my kid.
And it does a kind of, its head turns and swivels so that one side of its head, the side that was once looking at Oscar, now quickly, and only briefly looks at Jonathan.
But I am always made
Okay. Just half myself talking.
Yeah, you hear it kind of trail off because the creature is trying to kind of like decipher the tongue, because you haven't been able to understand this.
Okay.
You've just been hearing this like primordial dialect shared between Oscar and out loud, but and you understand even as Jonathan, the scrolls themselves, the papyrus scrolls, are primordial texts merged with celestial. So you've been able to read this text the whole time, but you're not used to / have not heard enough of the primordial language in its most ancient form, which is what you're hearing right now. Oscar has like the 21st century version of that language and is able to kind of relay some of that into correct structure.
So Oscar's hearing Shakespearean slang while he's speaking.
I'm speaking normal, and I'm just going like, doth thou prithee killeth?
he who walks in blood themselves.
And you hear it kind of like, you see its head kind of contort, its head kind of twist and rotate, almost thrash. Its body seems to like thrash just for a split second.
I cannot kill something that has gained the strength of a deity. Once infused, I become incapable of affecting it from the laws forced upon me. So for all the order for me to help, I must be able to stop it before it happens. But I cannot see the judgment before it occurs. The great sin it could complete, make it immune to my attacks.
So effectively, you will never be able to affect him.
Not without
name? And as Oscar, once again, you're the only one who's noticing the reason this creature keeps turning its head towards Jonathan.
You want John to summon you?
If I knew this would work, I might have rethought our battle.
Okay.
You're hearing, obviously, this insurrectory conversation.
John, are you able to summon this creature again?
Only in a month. It is limited to call on creatures outside the divine.
The month the world will have ended.
It's not exactly much time. A month is... Well, I have no idea what that other me can do in a month.
Is there a chance that we can summon a brother of mine who could then call upon me? Or a Navies? And that is a name you have read in the most recent book of Desire. Another fallen angel.
He's asking if you could summon a fallen angel that could summon him when we encounter.
As long as they're an outsider and I have their full name, I should be able to summon them.
In the book of the
Yes.
curses and darkness hold the name. It is also trapped, but if you can bring it out with this magic, I see a way.
And what's stopping him from turning on us? Or will I have to beat him down like I beat you?
A token. You see, from its back, 4, then turns to 8 new insectoid claw-like appendages emerge out, and then you watch as they kind of like emerge together, almost formed into like four on each side, but like bamboo sprouts that are kind of stretching out. And then as they open up, you see there is like a webbed, feathered bridge where these like wings made of insectoid limbs emerges out of this thing's back.
Yes.
And you see another insectoid limb emerges with these tiny little pincers at the end of it. And this is one of its front like mandibles, but they are very long. Pulls a blood red feather from its newly formed insectoid wings. They look nothing like fly wings and look more like these horrible blood angel wings. You must require a token. Something that can only be given. The caller's feather.
Okay.
This will improve the function of summoning us. And he holds it to the edge of the shield of energy.
John, he's passing a token. Proof of
A blood red feather that is actually still dripping with blood.
his
Regular blood.
loyalty, so that if you summon another fallen angel, it will not turn on us.
I see. Arkik, you may have forgotten my order. They have forgotten our ritual. I know that you've forgotten me. Forgotten the order. And I can't imagine of how you've been corrupted like this.
You hear in Primordial, even though it can't communicate with you properly, you hear. What? I've forgotten. An architect of her.
We swore to bring her back, and we tried. But now I know that even our higher-ups have fell for corruption. So I don't even know how I could stand up to try. Yet I still remain. I have my question for you. How are we to deal with our Chagall, the Demon King, going towards our location to steal the book back?
You hear in a broken dialect of common and celestial that you can understand.
You must use the secrets within the book. It holds those that work directly under Areshkagal that bring its power back to life. It is only returning because of that book and its placement here.
Can we not just destroy the book?
If the celestial heavens were not shattered, their vaulted prisons could hold the books, evil away. But anywhere that book goes, evil will chase. And there is no realm in the celestial heavens that can hide it now. The only way through the book must be disassembled from the inside.
You hear like disassembled is like
Disassembled inside.
I see. Thank you for the confirmation. We will be dealing with him very soon.
The god, he calls himself, but he is not. Stronger than me, he is. But trapped inside a prison, not of the book, but of the god's creation. The god.
and it borders.
The lord of pain. The brawl will not reveal itself until the threats of you pose great enough. But because you are not considered a threat, your strength can be used to undermine it while it still thinks you weak enough to be slain by what exists inside. Children of gods, children of Sephiroth, hold a home in that demi-plane. A place filled with desecration.
You mentioned those of celestial nature cannot enter the book.
I see.
They can enter, but the book knows what it wants. And its intention is to corrupt all divine blood. The desecrated land does not aid you, it simply fills you up with the negative energy that can permeate your fortified minds and bodies.
Without becoming human, is there any way of resisting this?
You must take the circlet from your sister's head and sequester the divine energy you contain so that the book itself does not see you as a channeler.
What would happen to my sister? Would she continue to get unwelcome visitors such as yourself?
This creature, one of its limbs still holding that blood dripping feather near you in proximity with the wall still up. You hear
We can
assume something will try to possess her again. But you have an option, a potential ally. One who can possess her so that others do not, until the time you call upon it.
You mean yourself?
In its material shell, I am stronger, possessing a divine spirit, one that is able to channel stronger divine energy. It is worth it for me. I grow stronger from her. And can sequester her strength and untamable energy while you wield it. But there will come a time, even if it's only for a brief time, where I would have to leave her body and fight with you.
What if you took my body? Let me keep those circlets on her.
There would be no need for calling. I would lose some small strength while the domain tried to suck the divinity out from me. But it would harbor you safely, I assume. You would have strength greater than your own, while I inhabit you. But the control can remain yours, since you bested me and proved your determination in battle.
And that would keep my sister safe.
It could keep her out of the fight.
Is he speaking in like I can understand him now?
That's that broken common. Yeah,
Okay.
for the last minute,
Alright.
that's all being.
Because before I couldn't understand what he was
No,
talking about.
no, yeah.
I was like,
Up until it basically produced the blood feather, and then
Yeah.
Oscar had to ask some questions in relay, then it switched. Because you specifically asked the whole
What do you think, John?
quest question.
If you want to be his avatar in this plane, it will make it easier, and I can prepare for the ritual for this possession to go on.
You notice Ray has turned away from all of you, and you can see his, like with the Onifine, his whole arm up to the shoulder is glowing with a faint ethereal red energy, and you can see the hand is like being pulled, the sheath and the hand are connected. Ray's holding his other hand, like hand gripping elbow sort of thing.
Ray, we're not gonna fight, we're gonna do an ultimate attack.
You obviously seen Ray's kind of like hasn't been talking this whole time, has actually like looked away from this whole scene, but as Murphy kind of looks over, Ray is like, I'll stand up so the audience can see this, Ray is like with a shaky hand, seemingly like forcing the sword back into the sheath.
Back in? Oh,
And it's just staying in the corner, and you see then suddenly the sword in the sheath like pulls out slightly, and then he's like shaking the hand as he slides it back in.
Does it look like his arm and the glow bits are helping him force it back in, or is he resisting that?
It looks almost like, yeah, he's resisting the weight of the sword, trying to pull itself out of the sheath.
Okay.
Something like that. But that red energy didn't happen. Last time you saw that red energy happened with the Oni fight and with Voss. That was tugging him towards an enemy.
Where is it tugging towards him now?
I don't know. It's just too hard to see. It looks like he's fighting it before it can even tug.
Can two creatures possess one?
Normally, no. However, I have done it recently,
So it might be possible.
so it is.
You're not one, you're two.
It's rare. Also, since you are split between two possibilities, if Arkak does possess you, he will also be connected to your other self, meaning he will also have more evidence to find him.
And it might be able to keep Debrol off me if I enter the book.
And as I heard your worries, I will remove your divinity from her sister. So she may never be possessed again, if you want me to.
Wait until she wakes up. That should be a conversation she has with you. Last time I made decisions for my family, it didn't go well.
All right.
You hear faintly whispers from your sister who's lying on the ground, who you kind of not ignored but are facing away from while Harry kind of helps hold her. You hear faintly like, you look back and her eyes are closed and her body seems just still limp. Yet you heard that.
Arkak. I am going to perform the ritual on Oscar to get his body ready for the possession. Can you tell me your symbols and other parts that I may not be used to? Since you are here, you'll make this ritual a lot easier. Oscar, I need you to strip so I can cover you in some blood.
Oh, okay.
To prepare for this to be easier. Arkak, just tell me what you need to do.
You see,
to make it easier for you.
The insectoid demon just lowers the blood feather onto the ground in the kind of like loose gravel dirt in front of Oscar, and then turns back to face Jonathan, and then you see all of this weird kind of red energy, which I described to begin with, but it's really eerie. The red energy is filled with it looks like flies, but they are thousands of red pupilless eyes that are kind of like merging and spinning around with an ethereal bind.
You'll be safer though, Oscar, and it will help us find the other version of you.
How's that okay?
Links to the ethereal bind.
Oscar's okay with it.
Alright. Jonathan with some book. Do you want me to use my blood or your blood?
You can use mine, sure.
Alright. He'll give you a little cut as he starts to draw the rituals all over your arms, and then all over your head and back. Lay it down.
See the sigils that are floating in the air, formed by this celestial creature.
That will take like probably 10 minutes to cover this whole body of...
Yeah, blood-covered symbols. You see Oscar's blood-red hair doesn't get in the way, like he just pulls the hair to the side as you cover the shoulders, the neck, the chest. Moving down, kind of hitting the thighs, drawing symbols there, down the sides of the legs, at the waist.
Is this good enough, Arkak?
We are trying to make the book believe that evil has entered, so that it will not harm, as much as it can look like me. The symbols and runes of evil
I guess evil, yeah, you're right.
evil primordial will cover enough.
It says you can hear almost like a kind of the smallest fractional feeling of just a creature that hasn't proceeded to do any kind of intentional merging like this before. Not one that wasn't completely presumptuous.
Well, I will begin to dismiss this ritual circle. You will be sent back to the plane you were born in. However, with the ritual that I put on Oscar, it should be a beacon for the possession to happen.
My birth belt is no longer here. So the ethereal realm that we possess will be close enough that I should be able to see these signals. Yes.
Alright.
And you see that red barrier kind of slowly start to fade. As you've been noticing this whole time, one of its many limbs at any point during this have been continuously kind of like carving into the red shield to just kind of test it and to see if there's any kind of red energy magnifier as it carves through the ethereal barrier. As this barrier fades from the top down, you see the head of this insectoid creature also kind of fade with it. And suddenly, before long, there's just this smear of blood across the ground, and nothing but you in the Fojar chamber.
John, if this doesn't go well, I trust you.
We're doing something that most men would never even imagine trying to do.
I'm afraid.
I would.
I commend you for your bravery.
Are you sure you want to do this? He doesn't have a good track record of messing with souls.
I would agree with the horseman, except for the fact that we have never had to battle a celestial before us, especially not one that turned into an insect horror creature. I think we're all in uncharted territory. Maybe it's cool to surf. I don't understand how divine creatures can turn against each other. It goes against heavens fundamentally. Now they're saying the heavens are shattered. Well, that's
I guess
more disconcerting.
Bad news after bad news.
I guess it's you have experience with it. Instead of trying to take out knowledge being you putting one in. That can't fuck you. It probably could.
It is going to go into Oscar's body, and they will share a vessel for a bit. However, Oscar is split into two beings, meaning it will be shared between 3 vessels.
I will try and cage it from the inside.
You sure you have the strength? You're literally at half your soul.
I don't know, but I can try.
Will be interesting. The Fiery Scroll, you can't steal your own divinity. So I wonder what is going to happen.
Okay, so the sigil drops, and you watch as all of the blood symbols across Oscar's body just seem to like be dripping, just kind of like leaking down his body, causing this just cascade of blood, occasionally dripping off the elbows. It feels uncomfortable because it's warm.
There's a lot of blood, John.
Humid area. Suddenly, Oscar doesn't notice this at first, but there are symbols on his shoulders that start to kind of faintly give off in color, and they're like kind of back of the shoulders. And then you start to see down the arms, sigils.
The divine executioner. Going in your body.
Oh, great.
Well, at least I won't be alone and having voices in my head.
You're so right, Monkey. Well, wish me luck.
Think of the bright side. Most people would go for this position.
Some people have been killed.
However, some people know the horrors of this position. Stay strong, Oscar.
Do you think your god will ever come back, John?
I sacrificed myself in a hope that my God would come back. I gave my life to a man. When I woke up, I still can't feel the strength of her presence. So I don't know if that man failed me, or something has went terribly wrong. Farina is destined to come back. For too much power has been surrounding her name.
And even even Jonathan just felt in his proximity to this angel that, like, it described it. At that point, you couldn't hear it, actually no. This was when it described the kind of longing and the emptiness in its. Basically, it described its heart, but it said its soul. you have a kind of very similar feeling of detachment that has come, entered you, left you, rewarded you, made you feel alone and isolated, and in what it said, in your mind when you heard it, echo and whisper and no one else could, there was that almost identical feeling of loneliness connected to divinity. And it's, to Jonathan, slightly frightening that a celestial like that could feel such similar feelings. But then you get the idea in what it said that its ability to understand feelings was restrained, maybe by its own accord, but it was able to feel at the very least a emptiness after losing something that you thought had fallen another way, in its own way. Now you understand. And now we're watching these red sigils appear and this kind of red aura around Oscar. Oscar, for as long as you're possessed by this creature, you have a protective aura, 5 feet.
Okay.
So +4 AC deflection bonus,
Change.
Oscar.
+4 resistance bonus to saving throws.
Okay.
And also you're going to have to make a saving throw to be in the possession of this creature. Drop.
Celestials. They are beings so above us, so alien. But they still feel emotion. The Dark Ek is still grieving after the loss of Farina, much like many of the followers. You should use this opportunity to relate and to understand him and grieve with him as well.
Good.
You will gain deeper insights into the realm.
Suddenly you watch Jonathan's words for you, Oscar, that last few words sound almost start to echo, like the actual words themselves seem to be pulled through a tunnel just to reach you. Jonathan, you pick up the celestial feather that was on the ground now that, and Oscar's not picking it up. Obviously, as you were doing a walk around with blood, and that is a blood feather that obviously you were able to.
Yep. I didn't get the other angel's name because Oscar didn't tell me.
Orin, ORYN.
Y-N.
I assume it was like
L-E.
clickety clack, and then it said in perfect color that name.
Celestial. It would be celestial because it is a celestial name.
Orin
and L-E-E-V. Yes, I believe.
V.
I believe it is.
Orin Levis.
And Oscar, as your eyes flash brightly, you feel a kind of detachment. Something that wants to be pulled into you and then simultaneously be stretched between you and another thing.
As I feel that, I'm going to activate my Stance of the Cage Sun.
What does that do?
That's the one that gives me like the healing and limits my healing to just myself and no one else. I want to use it as a way of containing it to just myself.
You feel that kind of stretchiness, like something is holding in you and yet elastically being pulled somewhere else. And you change position, focus the mind. I want you to be making me a will save, DC 23. You have a +4 bonus from your aura.
That's a 36.
Could you fail?
No. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Maybe like a 1 or 2. You know, it is whatever.
Plus 18.
5 alone. That's all I like that.
Yeah.
Alright. You see his eyes are so bright with red light that they almost seem to, for a split second, fill the entire chamber with a insanely wide-reaching red spotlight. Highest voltage you could imagine pouring out of Oscar before suddenly just blinks out. And Oscar, you felt like that whole moment that you channeled the energy, that stretching, felt like it was both 1 second and it took 50 seconds or 50 minutes even to just contain it. It felt like time cycled incoherently before suddenly you exhale the first shaky breath that you didn't realize you had clearly been tensing your entire body in preparation for that. And you hear this faint distant in the back of your mind, this quiet, barely audible. Now, all you're going to be able to get from this is there is a weapon to go with you. You're going to be able to get DR10 against evil. You're going to be able to get its immunities and resistances. You're going to be able to get its spell resistance in 25. And you're also going to be able to get its specific spells. That includes a bunch of really awesome at-will spells, including Aid. At-will... I'll send it to you. A once per day blade barrier, a once per day heal.
Jeez.
7 times per day cure light wounds.
Oh my god.
7 times per day see invisibility.
Yep.
They're just the strongest abilities.
By any chance, greater restoration?
Some of it's at will spells, which unfortunately don't help Loki. Remove curse, remove disease, remove fear. Invisibility, holy word, holy aura, dispel evil, a few of them. But
Heal was where I kind of like in massive ways.
Yeah.
but most importantly, it's the DR10 against evil, 10 resistance to electricity and fire, spell resistance 25. Features that are in celestially emboldening, imbuing the energy within you. You see Mitso has created a little arcane wall just blocking him from everything in front of him.
You said doing it like, you said something about a weapon?
You do not get a weapon from this, but you will be able to get the supernatural feature Gutting Strike. DC 25 fortitude save or cause the D8 bullet damage. As long as you hit with at least 2 attacks in one round. On the same round.
They have to be a blade, I'm assuming.
Has to be a slash.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my god.
So a bunch. I mean, the plus 4 deflection bonus, I feel like that's kind of somehow the weakest feature.
Yeah, increased my saves by 2.
Yeah, I mean,
So I already have plus 2.
good point. Yeah, it just stacks on top. And then you're also immune to acid, cold, and petrification. Again,
Yeah, that's... yeah.
You see the sigils on Oscar's body kind of fade, but then at the same time, that brightness that was blinding toward you is still a kind of faint outline of red around his body, around his red hair. You know, before you, as Moki specifically, you see Oscar with bright red wings and a golden halo. This is not that. This isn't Oscar reaching a new stage with a god. This is a divine power sharing his space, and you don't like. That's the best way as Moki can understand. That is a kind of parallel shape stuck to Oscar.
Oscar, are you Oscar?
Yes.
Oh.
Although I do hear a shake, which feels cold.
You look feeble. Probably the insect in you.
Hopefully that means that Dubois will think so as well.
Could you ask Jacob if he can feel your other you? You do share the same
I can...
fate.
I can hear you.
This misery which separated itself from you hides its divine trail even from me. You would have to freely let me be taken by it for me to know, but then the ability to return to you might not be accessible.
So perhaps Oh, does he speak like through me to answer that? Yeah. So you'll hear that.
So you hear emerging from his voice without Oscar's mouth moving at all. Like, Oscar opens his mouth to communicate, and then you hear that kind of crackle effectively. Not in primordial, in broken celestial tones.
So perhaps we will wait until it appears.
All right.
And then
Oh,
Feather. Cold as feather.
okay.
Feather light right now.
Okay.
Mitzo walks down near you, still holding up that kind of faint arcane barrier.
I'll slowly start to put my clothes back on.
You do. You slowly start to pants. You feel like the pants and all of the clothing sticking to the blood that's still running down you. Holds it tightly to you. We'll definitely need a good wash within the day, but you see the faux jar.
We will not interfere any further. This is your fight. But hold contact with us so that if things get much, much worse, you can still have an ally in the underground. My condolences for taking your family so quickly. The act was out of preservation, even though it may have looked like something else.
I see that now. Thank you for keeping us safe.
We did it for the debt that we really should have owed you.
Well, it is paid now.
And we appreciate your kindness.
I hope we can maintain our alliance in the future.
Yes, and I hope that I hope you have enough allies to guard the underground and keep the city below safe. We do not, but if you must require it from us, we can begin further excavation methods to remove the blue vermin below. We have already had to in order to secure this chamber. Thank you, I suppose. Let's get out of here quickly now.
Taking a demon with me, let's go. He looks at Oscar like he kind of didn't fully understand that this thing is still celestial because maybe he
That was
can't.
Mitzo speaking?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So clearly an ant.
That was the bug for most of it.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Mitzo does have a kind of similar sounding voice, just not the monotone.
Mitzo, maybe you should have relations with this ant.
You know, elves do not.
I don't believe he means that type of relationship.
The queen needs to repopulate the soldiers.
Yes, tonality is everything. No, us elves do not breed the same way that other races do. The Fortune Queen says behind you as you go about to leave. We do not breed either.
John, you surely have some magic ritual to help.
I actually could. That is completely
Mitzo
different.
says, no, I'm not, we are not here.
Just
Thank
wave his hands, do magic when you
you, your
know.
underground majesty. We will make our exit quickly. And you feel energy gathering quickly, like a bubble formed around you to contain you from causing more damage to the force. You return to a space where you can see kneeling on the ground next to a bunch of dead bat bodies, slowly getting burnt. The redwood priest, heavily damaged, dark skin, soul. You've returned,
You're right.
Are you at the temple?
soul. You've returned.
You're right.
Are you at the temple?
You are at the Hesperus Temple, near the edge of the pier, where you just left from, basically. And you can see 5 look like pretty elite, red armed and black armed tradition Avengers. And the robot, which you found to begin with when you died.
Is Marcus still there?
You look up, because one of them flew into the sky, and you see about 120 feet up, there's just this little shadow.
Maybe don't let him see you. He could want to kill or have relations with you.
Alright.
I hope that he doesn't want to have a relationship with me.
This has already been a very long day.
I think a rest is necessary.
I'm pretty good. We can go to the next fight.
I am also ready for this fight. I've been holding back quite a lot.
Actually, same. I'm completely fine.
Let's go.
So I will hold a moment. We must set up the ritual first. That will take minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Give it to me if I can use this inside of the temple. I know
Very
it's
well.
exposed.
10-minute toilet break.
Well, before we do this,
Great idea.
get maybe the priest to the last fortress.
Saul, are you able to help him with his madness?
I'm sorry, what madness?
If you could cast restoration.
Oh, when he killed.
Heal.
When you killed him,
Yes.
sliced him up and then he was reformed.
Yes.
I was actually hoping I would save that joining you in the book if that
Do you want to be in the book?
last time I got you out.
That's true.
Mitsu says, I will not have the strength to be getting you out, so I will not be going in myself.
Not even for 10-minute toilet break?
I do not have any more abilities to change between planes.
Let's shame all our NPCs are dried up.
They also need rest.
The priest says, I have the ability to do both the heal and the play the well, I'd be able to bring you back to this exact temple, but I would be near fully tapped out.
We can do it after if you still have the
If
stuff.
I get a little bit more power, in order to regain my full self, I should be able to open up the ley lines of Blaines, and we would be able to travel back.
So we just need to level up in the play.
Get a little bit of more power, yes.
That's what I'm saying is, we have Thor do that to me, heal me twice, and then we rely on a level up that may or may not happen to get out of the book.
I think that's
So
very
you're saying we need to rest? I agree, because then I can heal you and then restore my strength so I can fight against
Ray, you're fine.
What we're going? Oh, actually, no.
So the whole group's basically fine.
I should probably mention this. You can't sleep in the book.
I see.
Yeah, it gives you like permanent nightmares, but I completely forgot to mention that.
That's not normal?
I will change my spells to get that one that keeps you up,
Yeah, probably a good idea.
so you can sleep
Yeah.
with your eyes.
I have a go-to solution for that.
Oh, okay.
Suddenly you see
Good idea.
from behind, like you're looking at Monkey Oscar, and you notice from behind him there's this, like all the way across the pier towards the Lamented Pier, so where your other kind of fortification is. You see this like shadow, like a mass of some kind, just rise above the. It's about 5:30 a.m. Rise above the ruined buildings, swords back down. It's not like there's no arms. There's just this black kind of mass that just emerges over buildings and then kind of swirls down.
Did anyone see that?
Yes, that's like the fourth gargantuan monster hit the city. No, I think it's the third. Nope, fifth.
You see Ray doesn't say a word, but just looks at Oscar, and you see that kind of like intense vision.
Is that something we have to deal with now?
Kind of like pats your upper arm, reaches up and pats your upper arm. And you see with his other hand, he's holding a sword, and the rest of the group can see it as he walks to Oscar and pats him. He's holding a sword that's like unsheathed. And then after patting, he just uses full grip and just pushes. And then you see him just walk in the direction of that mass, and you hear him say, and I'm not going to use his voice, but he
You need
says,
to work on your sword for a bit.
I can't fight beside Oscar right now.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Good luck. Cicero, you should join me. Emmerich, you should join me too.
That's completely a character.
That's completely a character. I do know that, yeah, sure. Listen. And you see Emmerich say, with Emmerich's voice, maybe it's from the vault that we couldn't enter before. It's the same place. And you see them both
Emmerich,
I like the idea. Split it up. We'll take care of the book. They go with that thing.
Emmerich, are you wearing a cloak right now?
You see he has some thin, looks tattered, but there is magical signatures coming off of it.
No. Never mind.
Alright, we'll split.
Go. Can I give you a magic
That'll
item?
be good.
The priest says, I could use the cloak.
Oh, sure. There you go.
Nice little wall.
Let's do the same.
You can't use it because you have the bonuses or whatever.
Because having a demigod inside of me is slightly too powerful.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That card. That to all saves?
Your demigod sword has been used up.
Yes.
No, if that was a will save, that would have been
You only get one demigod.
Cool.
I'm using it.
You see the priest walks up to Loki and grabs him. He says, I don't know why you're looking at my cloak like you wanted to eat it. I'm going
I think
to...
you will hurt my brain.
Oh, actually, that's completely fascinating. I should have given that to you.
I am selfless.
No. They will probably target you.
Doesn't Hotspur, isn't he the god of thieves as well?
But now that I think about it,
I'm an anathema.
I probably should, because they might make me mad and kill you.
No, I think just put it on.
Okay.
And he's about to take it back and then you just rip it out of jail.
You might.
It would be really close.
Right, well,
It's a bit short.
I offered and then I wanted it back and then...
I expect it back when I, lose the demigod inside of me thing.
You'll have it back, just like these cords.
You're right. We shall talk to your sister, and I will.
Yes.
You see 5 sigils quickly marked onto Loki, just drawn by the finger, drawn onto Loki's
I'll
chest.
ask her what she wants to do.
All right.
No.
There's a little bit of blood trailing, but you start to feel suddenly beside you after these sigils are cast. Loki feels a wave release. You're able to blink. You heard and could not stop hearing the kind of quiet, subtle riddle that has been playing in your brain for almost 3 full days now, since hours after you thought you killed your father. This riddle had stuck in your mind. There was no answer. You couldn't figure it out, and you would forget it, and then you would remember it again. And that feeling like a brainworm just suddenly rots away and vanishes from your mind. You can't even remember what he said. Doesn't matter. And maybe that was what was cursing you. You feel free of the one greater confusion curse that is on you. And suddenly you feel...
What spell is this?
This is the heal spell, which cures insanity. Specifically.
Oh, that one. Okay.
So this heals you, not your schizophrenia or your multiple personality disorder. This heals
So you still got 2 mana.
your confusion effect.
Which means you can actually play.
I cannot use this properly.
I can't.
Could I? I could probably stick it in me.
No, I think I should hold this and give this to somebody who has the power to call on greater beings. For later. Unfortunately, my summoning technique bypasses the need for abjuration and conjuration.
Just straight necromancy.
Yep.
I rip their soul and send them to a
This angel thinking that you're gonna do something normal. Necromancers be like, normal conventions. Nah, fuck it, not important. You see,
It can die. I can summon you.
It takes 3 weeks to study the name, and then once you know the name, instant summon. Especially easy when they tell me.
you see as your group had began to set up the sigils inside of the Temple of Hesperus. Suddenly, there is a floating silhouette out the front of the massive iron gates, and you're noticing that, especially Oscar, this is clearly the floating shadow of the Iridian called Marcus. Except, physical features-wise, even though he's floating and doing all that ominous shit like Marcus did, he's not physically, feature-wise, the same. He looks just like kind of a thinner, more kind of a lot of gowls, larger kind of nose, and but still very human.
I forget. The time is slower in the book. Sorry, as in faster. As in, like, we spend a minute in the book. It's 8 hours outside.
If you spend 3 hours in the book, you spend 12 hours in the book.
That's 4 times.
4 times.
Which is why we dealt with the purge problem.
Yeah, fast.
You watch as Marcus, and I'm just going to skip over this real quick, because Marcus, for a moment, tries to plead the importance of, like, in a way that is not a pleading more of a threat, but basically for this creature that you know has been kind of threatening you the whole time, offers that this job will regain favor with the gods.
Well, it's just like saying that. Yes, we're waiting for the ritual. Look, he's over there. He's preparing it.
And Marcus acknowledges what you're doing and starts to almost back away, starts to prepare to fly off.
Oh, before you go, could you help me with my head brain problems?
As he's got madness inside of him, can you cure it?
Loki, I want you to make me a diplomacy roll.
Oh.
I want Oscar to make me a diplomacy roll as well. 2 separate diplomacy rolls. May as well do it properly this way.
I have nine. Why?
Because you're asking.
Can I intimidate him instead?
Will it?
Can I intimidate him instead? Because that'll be a 20.
We're doing this out of combat, so I'm happy for you to figure it out.
Sure. Try
If
to,
I go to negatives, he has to fucking like sense me or something.
he's probably gotta go negative anyway.
I mean, it's not a very low chance that you
What if you
won't.
want? We can try the first
You
one.
want? I'm currently mad. I'm gonna use my madness dice.
Okay.
And then 13 for the diplomacy.
Okay.
Yes, please help him.
I rolled a 10 for a 1.
Nice. It's not negative. Guys, sometimes I can't punish you for having a negative 9.
I need help for my thinky bits. Mr. Sir, God, Big Dick. Not that.
You see the shadow move back into the room, move towards Moki and say, well, this is a soldier that I killed, so I don't know if this will work. And then presses quickly, like, moves in front of you within 0.5 of a second, grabs the front of your face, and you suddenly see Moki's whole head just catch on fire, immolating your head. You feel so much heat enter fill your brain. You feel like suddenly you are at the verging point of falling unconscious. Your brain functioning kind of stops. You blink out for a second. Everything shuts off, and you watch Moki just collapse. All of the beard is like a molten red, kind of like it's all like almost the heat is slowly burning away
individual hair.
Like as all weak and then like
Yeah, it's like it looks like that, but it's not going to burn away all of your hair. But it looks like your hair is kind of like singeing itself away. You see most of Moki's hair above is kind of that same kind of like cindered color.
wipe it to my hair and I'm black from soot.
And I mean, Moki has this like black, almost face paint mask of soot from where Marcus just grabbed the front of his face and did that. And then you watch Marcus just kind of scoop underneath the archway and then rocket away. What he basically explains is that the real Marcus had to leave to make sure that the Sphinx didn't exit the southern, didn't reach the southern coast. But you are not that far away. He repeats, you have 8 hours. He repeats.
So let's.
And yes, you are cured of one of your madnesses. I will say roll a d4.
I only have 2, my schizophrenia and my multiple personalities.
So roll a d4, and 2 or higher, you pick which is which.
Okay, and then 1 or 2 will be the ones.
1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
So I think 1 is schizophrenia. Okay, madness die. This is d4. Yep. I'm hoping for a 2 or above.
Who's gonna do it?
I got a 1.
It's schizophrenia.
Ah, that is schizophrenia.
Yeah, your multiple personality, your dad is still around. And you notice that by the time Loki comes back to conscious, World 1, you are being slowly healed by the priest with really minor magic, but also Oscar's greater spirit inside him gives every single person who is entering the Book of the Damned 15 temporary hit points. And this is given aid just communally because you can do it at will.
Can you give it a plus to the save for instant death, or I will die?
He gives you 15 temporary hit points.
Okay.
He gives you a +1 bonus to your attack rolls. This is moral, and a +1 bonus to fear.
Alright.
So 15 temp, +1 to attack, +1 to fear, moral.
That's alright, we got this, boys.
But then
How much did soul healing?
Soul will heal you.
I can't wait to fail the instant death roll and just all be eviscerated when I touch the book.
No, come on.
Luckily, you found, and from what you you didn't see Oscar do it. Let's say the group explained to you that only one person out of the group actually needs to touch the book directly. The others just need to be touching him.
Oh, that's true.
So all of the threat can go into one. You heal 46 hit points from the priest.
Okay, 46. How much?
That's not using the heal spell.
How many dice?
That was 4.
4 dice. Okay, I'll do that later. That's an extra 8.
Is there any other way that we can sort of bolster our wills?
Saul says, I will have to give you the same magic to make sure that you can walk between the islands when we walk far enough through them. There is large gaps between elevations we must deal with, and I must reserve my...
So, who's going to be touching the book? Who is the strongest will here?
I'm still mad. Less mad, but still the bad kind of mad.
John, what's your will?
I know that it will obliterate me if I fail. Of the worstest of luck.
Yes.
With the god inside of me, I believe you should lead the charge. What is your will?
It's +18, but
That's pretty good.
I have an extra against evil, so +20.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You know what? I'll do it with +3.
Okay.
Really?
No.
I did tell you the same DC once before, but I'm not going to tell you again because I want you guys to score.
DC 30.
Wait, what happened? We fail again?
We instantly die.
It depends on your alignment.
If you're considered good, you are fallen under the slain condition, which overrides all death effects and just literally kills you.
Which I'm not considered good.
And what if you're neutral?
Yeah, I'm considered good, so I'll die to it. But you're not, and you're not. So that's why one of you touched the book, and I'll
Last time, Moki touched the book.
I failed. I can't.
And then you didn't you? I think you're fine, actually.
I actually think you did succeed.
Oh, I just
You wouldn't know the DC, but for you to succeed, that's pretty.
Okay.
Session to be
Is anyone able to cast something on me to make it better? I've rolled like 4 natural ones this session, so I'd like to.
I can give you guidance.
That's a 1.
I can give you a prayer luck bonus.
That would be good too.
1 point.
Okay.
But before we enter, do we want to help your sister?
Actually, yes, it's my sister.
Your sister was about to be basically escorted by not all of some of the traditionalists guarding you during this ritual process.
They succeeded.
But was basically ready to escort your sister with. There's no car that walk her back to. And I mean, Mitso says he can't teleport again, but you have the option of letting your sister be escorted back through the ruins of a city, or waiting for Mitso to have 4 to 6 hours of rest and then take her back by teleporting. That's a decision you can make because she's still unconscious.
We can't do the walk because you have to go in the book like ASAP, right?
She seems to be like stirring, but she does seem to still be very much out of it.
Perhaps it might be worthwhile to let her rest. She's still unconscious.
Alright.
Mitso says, I can guard her body to make sure that there's no evil possessors coming around. And
That would be.
Ray and Imric were leaving. Heron basically said,
Would you like me to talk to her alone, then? In her dreams?
Sure.
In case another divinity will take over her.
Heron says,
Alright.
I'm worried for the small fox's safety. I think I'm going to fly there.
You keep this side safe, we'll keep the other one.
I just remembered that shadow, whatever you saw, that's where Monarch was lost.
and Heron has a kind of decently worried look on his face, and after he says that, 3 seconds go by. He rockets away, fire emerging from underneath him as he streams into the sky. I mean, he wasn't faster than you and the Phoenix, but fast enough, so Heron rockets away.
I will be back. I will be entering her then. Jonathan finds a comfy place. That's it. As I will cast Wandering Possession.
Okay.
As Jonathan's shadow slowly flies into her.
Alright. You feel you're inside a very dark place. Angles, the visions are sporadic, and you feel like there are cracks in the void of this psyche where they are faint white cracks in a dark, empty space. And every time you look at those cracks, you see flashes, visions of lands, of vibrant cities, wildlife, fragments of some collected story in different angles, random different moments. These are like the visions which are seemingly held at bay entering this space, but for you, someone witnessing the inside can see what is being held from barely entering.
What's her name again?
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
You echo, Cecilia, Cecilia, Cecilia. You hear this voice quietly come back.
You're not familiar. Who are?
I am Jonathan Necrodamus. When we first met, you told me that it was predetermined that I would steal your divinity, to take away your gifts for the torment it gave you.
I saw it. I welcomed it.
You can't see her, it's just this dark space with this voice that kind of echoes in.
I have come to ask if you're ready for that.
I want the power to be used for the. It needs to be used to heal. It was its only purpose, but I could not handle the burden. Maybe I can now. But it has already stripped me of most of my life.
Jonathan's going to try to fly and find her physical manifestation. Or mental manifestation of her mind.
You fly around in the darkness, looking for something, and all that illuminates this darkness is the fissures in the sky, which seem to be hairline fractures of something that is glowing. Outside in. And as you fly around through the chamber, it feels like as you try to move around, it feels like you're moving through like a thick fluid, like water. It's harder and harder to move the more you attempt to kind of push through the darkness. And the more you start to move, the more you see more cracks appearing ahead of you, around you, like what might have been considered like a dome filled with fissures. Small hairline cracks becomes almost a long oblong shape that you have stretched yourself into. And it's only after pushing far enough in that you start to see there's some sort of pinprick of light coming from not around you, but below you, underneath the cracked darkness above you.
How much have you given yourself?
See that little spark of light below?
I gave it what it wanted when I gave up. I needed to heal without the burden of being tasked with the consequences. The burden was not for me. I remained pure.
Well, you're not trained correctly. You know you should not give more than you can hold.
We were not given the knowledge that the divine energy would be strong enough in the Western lands to impact us. We were lied to.
Who lied to you?
Whispers. Or whisper. See cracks in the sky. More little tiny white lights. Patterns spread like a web above you, illuminating the kind of dark.
Are you sure you want me to take away your gifts? This will be the last time I ask.
Make me a diplomacy check.
That's really high. 26. I rolled an 18, and I have a plus 18.
I rolled an 8 plus 10. So you feel that spark below you kind of start to get brighter, or maybe closer. And you hear, I don't know if this is the right move.
Return it to me. If by the end it's not what you thought, Dylan, I trust. Anyone chooses to sacrifice for the better of the others.
Looking around this dreamscape, is there any like memories lingering or playing around here?
No, actually, it's like this whole space is devoid, but you think that has something to do with the repression in talking with everyone around you over the last few days, understanding, and even the last few weeks, understanding what oracles have. They are so future focused that their past experiences are not muddled, but are merely too irrelevant to be a focus point. Like all of their personal experiences, their past is nothing, is overshadowed by the power of foresight. So unless you attempt to kind of crack the ceiling, release all of the future upon her, it's like she has stopped herself from seeing both sides.
So the future and the past, and she is on the bottom.
And she's below you in this space, but at least the way that you're understanding it, is that it's probably you don't think this is her doing it. This is that golden circlet on her head. The Fojar said they made for her. This is suppressing potentially all, not thought, but all memory. This could be shutting Jonah's personality out. You know, like to understand a divine object is kind of what you're guessing this now is. Like this is potentially a divine source muting any human experience out of her.
Jonathan, in his ghost-like form, where he can just phase reverse things, even in the mindscape, will instead conjure her a vessel with her in mind, of her shape. She doesn't have to inhabit it, but it's her mind, so she can see the conjuring herself.
You start to form the kind of, it looks like almost if you're 40 feet below the water and there's that kind of light, that dim light that kind of sinks down into the water. You're pulling that light, coalescing it, forming it into a head, long hair, white hair, down into shoulders and a mantle, a dress. Most of her body, you can't even seem to form her legs. Just like the energy to use all of that light to create her just isn't there. And yet you watch as you form that, the light below starts to get brighter and brighter, illuminating the feet, and then you see the feet in there from below instead of from above. Start to glow, like she's adding to this corporeal image. And you see Cecilia now, a kind of very, very ghostly drifting form, just kind of floating, very kind of almost gracefully, but just in the kind of seemingly just like in water.
Jonathan will put her hand on her shoulder.
You touch something that isn't even material, and you feel the kind of light energy kind of making substance out of that.
Child, you've seen too much, and you have taken on burdens that are not owed or debted to you. I will return your gift, For now, you need to rest.
Use it well. And then you see above you this like shadow, shards of black glass that on one side reflect images, depictions like a mural. On the other side are void black. They fall and they spin, and the sky above you seems to shatter as this moment happens.
John will pull her in for a hug and whisper and say into her ear,
Enjoy the present.
You hear, I knew you could heal.
Remember the past. And become yourself once more.
as he will then enact the divinity seal.
You guys all begin to hear a strong, echoing thrum of voices which seem to coalesce around. And then suddenly it just stops. There's no, like with the hand of Norbert, the stone, massive hand with 4 fingers that absorbed into you. Instead, you're watching almost nothing happen, except this faint, small bit of white light emerge from Cecilia's mouth, and then enter Jonathan's chest in the ritual process. And then suddenly, she wakes up, her body kind of tilts upwards. Her eyes, for a second, are bright white, and then kind of fade dully. Her hair, still black. And Jonathan, you are kind of still in that dark space, and you're watching all of these reflected reflections. And you're technically still absorbed. Like, she can hear you, because you are sharing her space for a few moments that your consciousness is
crumbling, and she's finally waking up. Jonathan's form will slowly disintegrate as well with the thing.
Kind of like a shadow that is Jonathan merging with light, this yin and yang, this perfect kind of vanishing, merging, sinking of two opposites. As kind of all of the shards of glass of the sky of memories and futures falls around you. You get another point, and you also get revelations once per day.
Oh.
Means that most oracles get it about 7 to 8 times per day, but revelations there's a whole list of different, basically oracle gifts that Jonathan is kind of seated in that realm, this feeling of timeless divinity that you hadn't yet touched. You touched the divinity of misery, the misery of the hand that you absorbed, the divinity of undeath of your master, and the divinity of disease, evil, proliferating through Cornell. Now the divinity of foresight of the future.
And
correlated, your sister wakes up. Just as you hear Mitsu say, and it is done. You see sigils on the floor, red light, brightening the space. The book kind of like barely floats about an inch off the ground now that this ritual is complete. Please, whatever you do, do not... Oh, Jonathan's away. Do not touch this book. Unless you are all touching each other and ready to go inside. Don't even kick it, it will probably trigger. Mitsu starts to walk away. I'm going to sit in this corner and meditate on what the fuck I'm going to do to rebuild my tower next. I will get your sister to the temples. Hopefully they can guard her more carefully. Jonathan seems to like blink out, open his eyes. You heard the rear end of what Mitsu was saying there.
Oscar, the deal with your sister. She will want her powers back, and I am willing to return them. However, she needs to rest. Away from the divine.
As long as she's happy with it, that's all that matters.
Right.
See, your sister is kind of like holding her hand in her face. And looking at her hand, blinking. Physically, she looks confused. Her expression is that of confusion, but kind of dawning understanding is slowly creeping across her. And she looks to Oscar. Where you go, I can no longer see. There is suffering. I know where you go.
Then I'm glad that you won't see it.
And then they're gone.
But they'll be back.
Avenge the ones who stood for us. And you see, she tries to get up and just falls. You see one of the Tradition guards kind of grabs her before she can hit the ground hard.
Cecilia, do me a favor. Eat for the both of us. Sleep for the both of us. Get your rest. You deserve it.
You deserve greater rest. Just don't make it the one where you don't open your eyes again.
I'll do my best.
Bigger they are, harder they fall.